Welcome to the Playbook for Youth Sports, the podcast where we go beyond the field to talk about the business side of the game. I'm your host, Jennifer Peacock. As a parent of athletes and a leader in the youth sports space, I've seen the challenges that clubs and event operators face. That is why we are sitting down with innovators and game changers that are shaping the future of youth sports. Each episode will share insights that will help your organization both grow and thrive. Is cheating in youth sports really a problem? If so, how do you prevent it? What if there was an easy solution that just required a quick team photo? Would you use it? Today, we're talking to Spencer Grider, the CEO of Zorts. They've created an innovative solution with their Zorts ID that solves the problem of cheating. It can be implemented from the top down from the national governing bodies or utilized event by event. I'm really excited to have this conversation today because we're talking about real solutions to real problems in youth sports. Thank you for joining us today. We are talking to Spencer Grider, the CEO of Zorts. Thank you. Welcome. Happy to talk to you.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
So let's start with how you got started within Zorts.
Okay. Yeah. So I did not start Zorts. I wish I could say that I did. I'm a hired CEO, and I've been here a little over 2 years now. Zorts started, I think about 12 years ago. And it was really a favor to the 7-on-7 football community. The owner had boys going to these tournaments and they were keeping score and schedules on whiteboards. And he had resources from one of his other companies to build apps. And he said, hey, let's go ahead and build an app for these tournaments we're going to. And that was kind of the beginning. It was never really meant to be a business. And then fast forward 10 years, it had just spread like wildfire in 7-on-7, but then grew into flag football and tackle football and really dominated the whole football space. But now today we have pretty much every sport on the platform.
Very cool. Really, one of the things that I know that you guys are known for is the Zorts ID. So how did that come about? So if you started as a registration platform, how did the Zorts ID start?
Sure. So the Zorts ID really came out of request from a lot of our partners or customers. Tournament admins reaching out saying, hey, we have players or sometimes entire teams traveling to our tournaments and lying about their age. And I mean, they would do it just to go in and dominate. It's kind of sad to say, the more we've delved into it, the more of a universal problem we've realized that it is. And so we created the Zorts ID. And it's basically the tournament admins will require that all the participants have a Zorts ID, meaning that they've gone in, they've uploaded either their birth certificate or government issued ID or passport and a headshot. And we have a process, both technical and with human expertise, to verify those things. Then once those athletes get there, you can look up whether or not they have the Zorts ID. And it's just a way to keep things fair and safe. And it really went a long way to solve the cheating problem.
Well, cheating is definitely a big problem. I feel like in the youth sports world, it's almost a joke of coaches that sandbag or trophy hunt, and it's not fair. It's a real issue that if you are playing to pay sports and you're signing up for a tournament and a coach is trying to sandbag, that's terrible. And I think the other problem that creates from the event operator standpoint is the teams get a bad taste in their mouth and it's not the event operator's fault.
Totally. I mean, there's so many problems with it. And you're right. A lot of times it does fall on the coaches. Sometimes the parents won't even know. The coaches will be like, hey, send me your birth certificates. And they will go through and Photoshop birth certificates and submit them for the whole team. And we catch them. We catch people modifying birth certificates every single day. But it really falls on the event admin, because then it's like, you can imagine the mess of having awarded trophies and had a ceremony and celebrated these teams. And then it comes out a week later that, hey, wait a second, they were all 16 playing in a 14-year-old division. And then teams don't want to go back to that event the next year, and it all spirals. But There's also liability issues. There's, likelihood of injury goes up when you have older kids playing, especially in contact sports. Lots of problems come from what seems like maybe not that big a deal to some people.
So, with a player card, typically there's a picture on that player card, and the referee, so in soccer, for example, the referee has to look and match. But a lot of times we've seen where players will just switch jerseys. So, how does Zorts ID actually solve for that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and we came to that same conclusion that it didn't solve the whole problem. And we realized after a couple of years of doing it that going through the process of checking IDs beforehand and giving them the Zorts ID really only solved half the problem, because exactly like you just said, you might have an older brother who checked in, signed into the event, but then maybe that team lost early. And so that older brother swaps jerseys at time of play and goes and plays with the younger team. So unless you have a way to verify really quickly without delaying things at time of play, like I said, it only solves half the problem. And so we've doubled down on using facial recognition. And we have some really great tools where you can line up the entire team, snap one photo, and it takes the information that was submit with the Zorts ID and compares it with everybody that's in the frame of the camera. And you can see immediately who is and who isn't supposed to be on that team. In addition to that, you can see, did they all pay their registration fee? Did they all sign the waivers? Are they playing in the right division? All the things at a glance, and it's, lightning fast. And so that's how we have solved the whole problem to prevent scenarios, just like you said, where people are swapping jerseys at time of play.
What would you say to the people that are nervous about facial recognition?
Yeah, that's a really great question, because there is kind of a stigma around facial recognition. Like, big brother, what are you doing with my data? Am I being tracked when I go to different places? Candidly, the facial recognition part is the easy part of what we've done. And it's like the impressive kind of flashy part. But the unsexy part is the data and the privacy side of things. And that's really where we hang our hats. And when people understand what we're doing with the data, how we're handling it, it's like, oh, wow, this is way safer really than any other solution. The biometric data is in a completely unrecognizable form. Like, let's say worst case scenario, this database of all the kids' biometric information got out. It is completely unusable. You couldn't take any particular set of biometric data, the way that we store it, and like recreate the image of their face or tie it back to their personal profile information in any way. It is an extremely sophisticated solution. It just gives me so much pride in our team and what they've built and how safely we're handling that data. So
There was a story that I have been made aware of, and it was actually used for vendors that were attending that event, and that there was actually a vendor that was caught that was not supposed to be there.
you're right. We use Zorts ID not just for players, but for all of coaches, all of the vendors, any adult that's going to be around these kids. And you can associate it with background checks and other things. Sure enough, just like you said, one of the vendors who had been to this event before, they were on the sex offender registry, and certainly not somebody as an event admin who's tasked with protecting these kids and also not wanting to deal with the liability and all the headache that comes along with a potential nightmare situation. They were really grateful that we were able to catch them and they were able to take action and not allow them at the event.
And so it goes well beyond cheating, in my opinion. I mean, you're really solving a problem that, yes, cheating is super important, but making sure that everybody is where they're supposed to be and who they say they are is really important in today's day and age. So back to the cheating, do you have stories or an example of a team?
Yeah, for sure. So early this year, this was probably one of the first events that we used the facial recognition at. And a huge event. I think they had something like 800 teams coming from all across the country, and they wanted to use the facial recognition for all of the semifinal games and final games. And so just to do, like I said, a quick roster check right before they started to play. And so line up the team. It's like, hey guys, quick roster check. And this is the first time that this particular team had experienced this. And when they realized what was happening, suddenly this girl is like, covering her eye and like, there's something in my eye. And her teammates kind of rally around her, like, oh no. It's like, no problem. We can still look you up by name. Like, we don't have to use the facial recognition. But sure enough, she was a 16-year-old playing in a 14-year-old division. And it's actually, it's really sad. You hate to see these kids who are probably influenced by their coaches to like be in this environment. But nonetheless, on the flip side, the other team didn't lose to this advantaged team and was able to go on and compete in the finals. So
Yeah. I mean, it's on one hand, it's kind of sad that we need this level of security and protection. I think it's better that it exists than it not existing. We are in the world we're in. And so trying to have metrics in place that prevent cheating and the wrong people being in the wrong place is, I think, incredibly important.
I wish we didn't need this. I wish that everybody was just honest and that we could just get our kids on the field and play and have the environment that we all would hope for. And it's because of that reason that we take such great pride in how quickly this works. We don't want to create a bunch of hoops for them to jump through and all this red tape. It's like literally line the team up, quick scan. Okay, good luck, you guys. Next team, good to go. And they're on their way. So we want kids on the field, on the court, in competition as quickly as possible without having to deal with all the logistics of verifying. And so this facial recognition makes it so fast and almost seamless. So
I think that's an important point because until you've actually been part of the process, I think the initial thought is you have to line each kid up and you're going through like a cattle call and it's invasive. But if it's just a quick picture and it scans everybody at once and it takes 30 seconds, the question would be, why aren't you using this?
yeah.
Right? Like, if it's that fast and it solves the problem, it's probably getting to the point that you're going to see a lot more sports picking this up. I know you guys are getting significant traction in baseball and football, obviously, where you started. But I think this being able to be adopted in every sport significantly, really from the top down, makes the most sense. Are you having conversations with the national governing bodies?
Yeah, we are having conversations with anybody who will listen.
I
uh,
mean, it definitely is needed.
yeah, absolutely. And just thinking again of safety, like another feature that you could use this for, another way you could use it is say you had a kid that was knocked out on the field and it's one of these big events. You're not sure where the parents are. They may or may not be right there, but you can quickly just scan their face and know, yep, they've signed medical waivers. We can go ahead and give them the treatment that they need rather than worrying about, these other things that shouldn't get in the way. And it does create for a much safer environment for the kids.
Can Zorts ID be used as a standalone service, or do they have to use the registration platform that goes with it?
Zorts as a platform does all of the things: registration, scorekeeping, schedules, brackets, and then Zorts ID plays into it. But we definitely work with groups who are using a different, call it, management platform, and they're only interested in Zorts ID. Our team goes above and beyond to make that as seamless experience as possible for both the organization, that's the tournament admin side of things, and the parents, players, coaches side of things. Our team really makes that an easy process. So short answer is yes. You can use Zorts ID all by itself without using the whole suite of services that Zorts offers.
So there's really no excuse to not be using it, is the short version of that.
It's also becomes a revenue stream. It's like we're making your event more fair, more safe. We're making the logistics run more smoothly, and you participate in the revenue from the Zorts IDs.
Okay, so then question. I am a parent. I'm like, okay, I need to have my player card. Does that last 12 months? Is there a time frame? And then that's for any event that I'm going to?
Yes, exactly. So it's 12 months from the time of purchase. You can use it at any other event on Zorts. And so you just have to pay $12.80 a one time, and then uh, you're good to go. So the subsequent events, you just, instead of buying a new one, you just associate the one that you already have with that event.
If you could solve any problem in youth sports, it's in 5 years from now, any problem, you have all the resources at your fingertips, what problem would that be?
It's a great question. And maybe this is coming from the place of like my own personal pain point, maybe less from the standpoint of a CEO of Zorts and just from the perspective of a dad who has little kids. I wish it seems like there was a time where sports were just fun. You could learn such great lessons from sports. You could deal with the pains of failure and loss. You could deal with the victories and like all the good that comes from that and working together and hard work, all the good things that sports brings. Today, I feel like we get so caught up in the competitiveness of it. And that truly is the root of why our product exists. Like the cheating would not exist if it wasn't people taking it so seriously. And so if I could wave a magic wand, I would just make it more about the essence of the sport and the experience for the kids. I hate that there's this pressure to put my 5-year-old on the most competitive team with the most resources and that practices 7 days a week and travels to all of these things. Like, again, I shouldn't say this as the CEO of Zorts because like that's the business and the world we live in. But I would just love if we could make sports always about the kids and always about just an incredible experience.
That is a great answer. That's a great answer.
That's from Spencer, just dad here.
Perfect. Love it. Thank you. I mean, I think that, all of these conversations that we're having are really geared towards outlining what problems are in the market that we're in, which is youth sports, and really being able to bring to light what those solutions are that should be adopted across all of youth sports, which is massive. And I'm so grateful that you guys are dedicated and innovative and are really working hard to bring these solutions to the market.
Well, thanks. I love talking about it. We're really passionate about it at Zorts, and again, it's about creating this experience for the kids.
That's it for today's episode of the Playbook for Youth Sports. If you found today's conversation helpful, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll be back soon with more stories and strategies to help you grow and strengthen your organization. Until next time, keep building, keep leading, and keep playing.